I have yet to have a client who has not expressed that they have bad posture to me. And yes, we all have bad posture, but it's not our fault. It's because we have lost the owner's manual for owning and operating our human bodies as easily and efficiently and elegantly as possible. And so I work with the fascial matrix, which is the three-dimensional spider web in which our bones and muscles are suspended. The fascial matrix is the organ of posture. It turns out the definition of posture is simply the shape or relationship you're making in gravity at any given moment. And sitting at our desk is just a relationship to gravity. And the challenge is, since we've lost the owner's manual because we've forgotten about this whole extra organ, we end up borrowing from Peter to pay Paul and solving problems that didn't need to exist with new problems that now do exist, and it's just because we've misunderstood it. So I'm going to do my sitting song and dance. I know it's a bit of a doozy. I promise you it's worth it, okay? So the first thing I'm going to have you do when I stand up is I want you to watch my shoulder blade and my ball and socket joint here. And I promise it's worth it, okay? And plus this is, understanding this is gonna help you do other movements more effectively inside your body. So when we go to bend over, so this is me bending over A, and this is me bending over B. Okay, and you can see that difference. So A is what we would consider a proper hip hinge. The ball of my femur is staying stationary and the socket of my pelvis is going to roll over it, okay? So socket over ball. It's the other side of this movement, okay? And one of the benefits of moving and with that initiation and that intention is that ball and socket joints stay naturally lubricated. Another benefit is my glutes, my booty gets naturally slinkied open correctly, and now that tissue is available to naturally slinky close to bring my heavy rib cage back out of gravity. Also, when I move with that intention and I initiate that movement correctly, there's a magic mechanism inside my body, owner's manual, this is just how it works, that draws my shoulder blades down my rib cage, allowing for this ball and socket joint to also get naturally lubricated and work effectively. And it has to do with the fact that when we started as a species, we spent a lot more time on all fours. And so you wanted those ball and socket joints, those four ball and socket joints, communicating and working together. The problem is we all lose access to that joint individuation. The ball gets stuck and glued to the socket. So when we go to move the femur, the ball, the socket ends up coming with us and we don't even know it because it's been normalized inside of our body and nobody's ever told us what movement is supposed to feel like inside. That's called proprioception. It's a whole sense. Aristotle did us dirty when he said we only had 5 senses. We have so many more. And proprioception, the ability to feel how our bodies are moving and take more control over them, is something that we lose access to. Anyway, I digress. We lose access to that individuation. And so what we end up doing is folding at the belly button, okay? And when I do that movement, essentially that's just a standing crunch. Now we do this badly by just folding. I'll do another video. I have other videos where I talk about how we want to crumple here. But if I do this movement, what that does is it draws my rib cage down, and the anatomy of the shoulder girdle, the shoulder is the shoulder blades and the clavicles. We all forget about the clavicles, and they just get placed on our rib cage, kind of like football pads. And the only place they attach to the skeleton is here at the front, at the sternoclavicular joint, it's called. So wherever the rib cage goes, the clavicles will follow. And so if I'm doing this basically standing crunch, where I'm curling my belly and I'm bringing my rib cage down, that's going to draw my clavicles down, and that's going to bring my shoulder blades up my rib cage into my ears. That is fine. Crunching your belly is a very different movement with different intentions and different goals than hinging at your hips. And your shoulders are a follower joint. And so just let your shoulders go where they want to go. Shoulders going into your ears is not a bad thing when that's what the movement is initiating. And so I always tell my clients I want to go back in time and punch the guy who first told us to keep our shoulders out of our ears. They messed everything up. Because what happens is we conflate these two movements, hip hinging and crunch and crumpling forward, we conflate them into one movement, and we think bending over is just bending over. And because we just do lose access to this one before we lose access to this one, we think we're doing this inside of our bodies, but we're actually folding at our belly button. And so how many movement classes have you been in where you bend over and then the instructor tells you to take your shoulders out of your ears? And so instead of coming up and being like, oh, okay, well, let me initiate the movement in a way that facilitates that, we end up borrowing from Peter to pay Paul, and we'll roll our shoulders back, right? Or we'll crunch them down. And all that does is create unnecessary tension and really damaging movement patterns inside of our body. If I want my shoulders to look like this, I need to initiate the movement at my pelvis, because the pelvis drives the neutral bus differently. If I want my shoulders to do this, or if I want my belly to do this, or my back to do this, then I initiate the movement from here. And so one of the cool things about SI, about the work I do, is you get to really feel those differences. Anyway, why I just did 6 minutes of preamble to sit for a sitting lesson is because when we sit, we all bring our knees forward. Now, if my ball is stuck to my socket and I move the ball, my socket is going to curl with me. Okay. And so now we all go sit on our sacrums. And obviously I'm, exaggerating for some people, I'm not, but this is what's happening inside your body, in your skeleton. And so it's also really important. Again, the pelvis drives the neutral bus. Okay. So for this pelvic position, for this kind of curled pelvic position, this is actually neutral inside my body. Okay, this is not slouching and this is not hunching. This pelvic position's neutral. I could stay there all day easily and safely. The problem is the world's up there, and it's like our grandmother's always in our ear, right? Sit up straight. And so we do what we did in the bending over because we haven't been told how to sit up straight correctly. We all solve the wrong problem with the wrong solution. And again, we yoink our shoulders back, or we'll arch our spine to come like this. And so we'll go like this, thinking this is good posture. And it is not easeful. Therefore, it is not neutral. Therefore, it is damaging. And it's why this is hard, right? This will hurt, or your jaw will be clenching, or all three of those things. Not to mention like ball and socket problems inside the arm here. You can lead to elbow problems, wrist problems, hip problems, all sorts of things, because we're solving a problem that didn't exist and creating a bunch of new ones. This is just slouching backwards. If I want eyes forward to be neutral, I need to set up my pelvis differently from jump. And so instead of going knees forward, what we want to do is go booty back. Okay. And so what you want to do is just booty back. So point your butt bones as if there's a magnet on the floor behind you, kind of drawing you back. So booty back. So I always say socket back, socket down. And now instead of going like this, which is what you're used to doing, we're going to put one hand on our pubic bone and another hand on our sacrum, and we're going to roll through the socket. So the socket is going to roll over the ball, and you're going to know you're doing it because it's going to feel like this tissue, this hamstring and booty tissue. You need to let it feel that it's changing how it's interacting with your seat, okay? I think a lot of us kind of plant our seats and then we'll move from here because we don't want to crinkle our pants. I don't even know. But what we want to do is move from here, okay? And you can see my knees are getting moved because I'm moving, my legs and my pelvis here, and how the shoulders just go along for the ride, okay? So again, what we're going to do is we're going to go booty back, booty down, socket over ball, and then just let your arms kind of fall where they want to. And you can see how my arms just kind of fall into this middle of my rib cage, as opposed to when I'm slouching backwards, I'm here, right? And so this is just where my arms want to be. Now, when you first do this, it can feel like you are slouching. It can feel really like you're very far forward. And it's because you can see if I'm here, you can see how the socket of my shoulder is behind, in the back half of my rib cage, and the ball is in the back half of my socket. Where if I sit, this way, how that everything's moved to the middle. And so it's used to be back. Now it's in the middle, which is forward. So if you're not sure if you're there, go ahead and actually slouch. Actually pull yourself down. Your body doesn't want to be here. This is literally a sitting crunch. This is an abdominal workout right now. My body wants to pop me back into this eyes forward position. So I over-explained how I wanted you to get in and out, so that now, again, hopefully you can get the fundamentals of the difference between the bending over, and you can apply this to other movements. How I actually want you to get up from the sitting, and then how I actually want you to sit is what I'm going to do now. So once I'm here in this very easeful position, typing, and this relationship with gravity gets tired, so then I can kind of rock that here. I initiated the movement from my pelvis, so this isn't slouching, right? This is going to get tired. I'm going to go ahead and do this again. I came from my pelvis. Your body will tell you where it wants to be. Just let these shoulders, the shoulder blades and clavicle and arms, just go along for the ride. Now, to get up, we're going to take one foot. Doesn't matter which one. Draw your awareness to the kind of padded part of your big toe, of your toes here. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to put that on the ground. And then you're going to drag that, and it's going to come, let's see, which way do I need to go here? It's going to come a little bit under the seat here. Okay. Then you're going to aim the soft spot from when you were a baby is going to aim for the ceiling meets the wall. Don't think about it. Your body knows what to do. We're just going to go ahead and push off that back foot and stand up. Now, in order to sit back down, you're going to keep your feet in this position, and you're just going to sit down. And look at how easy that is. And the cool thing is, it actually takes energy for me when I first stand up. Your body wants to be walking because we're already like initiating this walk. And then if I'm just like, going through my day and like, here's the seat, I'm just going to go ahead and split down and then come up, and I'm just going to go ahead and come down. And you can see how my body is already, I'm starting the walk, and I'm just finishing the walk, and I'm setting my pelvis up for eyes forward neutral success. Hip problems, jaw problems, shoulder problems, back problems, mid-back problems, elbow stuff, wrist and hand numbness, pain, all of this stuff can be alleviated by initiating this sitting and these two different ways of bending over correctly and knowing that what's going on. So again, my body work, my fascia work, the coolest part of it to me is that it gives you this whole sense of proprioception back. So when you're doing this inside your body yourself, more of your tissue is more prepared to work correctly and efficiently together. And you get to feel all of these different options and choices, and you get to use them and work with them. And it's really cool. The amount of pain, injuries, and problems that get eliminated when you have this owner's manual back is really cool. So anyway, hopefully that helped. This you can do on your own. Play around, practice, and hit me up with any questions. Thanks for listening.